Vine Lake Preservation Trust. Welcome to the old section of Vine Lake Cemetery. My name is Rob Gregg, and this morning's program, although brief, is divided into three parts, and I'll take the first part. We are here to unveil the memorial to the Ware family, and on the program it shows you the house that this whole family lived in at today's 83 South Street. And just for familiarity, when you go down South Street, this is the last big house on the right before you hit Metacomet Street. And so that the house and the barn look pretty much today like they did back when this photo, undated, was taken. But the Ware family moved to Medfield from Rentham sometime by 1850. We don't have the exact date, but we know that Herman and Ruth's family moved into this home by that time, and it was the death of Sarah Ellen, who was buried here in 1850. Her cause of death was typhoid fever at age 16. The next person to die in the family was Charles, who is buried here, and he died of heart disease, as did his mother, Ruth Whiting Ware, in 1871. Herman, buried here, died from paralysis in 1883, and his occupation in town was a farmer. And then Susan Sanders Ware was the last to die in 1917. This is the lot that comprises the Ware family. There's the possibility that Herman's grandmother is buried somewhere in Vine Lake Cemetery, but where this lot is so symmetrical and organized, and there's no headstone for her. She died in 1847 here in Medfield, so presumably she was living with the family at 83 South Street when they were here. So this is the Ware lot, and it was the situation in this lot was discovered by the trust in 2011, and the photos on the front of your program tell the story, and Rick Hooker is going to narrate those step-by-steps.
Yeah, so I'll give you a brief description of the restoration process. And I will be brief, as I'm sure the suspense is killing you. As you can see from the first photo, the monument was in deplorable condition. We found it in 24 pieces. How it got that way, we'll never know, but it's safe to say there was a sledgehammer involved. We began by digging out the pieces and just placing them on the tarp, as you can see. We went back several times to dig around, because as you see in the center photo, some of the pieces were never found, never will be. So what happened to them will always remain a mystery. So it was really like a giant jigsaw puzzle, putting it together. And once that was complete, we got some help from the DPW to come in with an excavator and dig out a large concrete base that existed. And after that, we built a new base and created a slot that would fit the restored monument. Once that was complete, we trucked all the pieces over to my garage, where you'll see in the photos that we built a wooden form into which we mixed and poured this secret ingredient that you're going to hear about in a little bit, that provided the base for the new monument. We put the pieces in place, mixed more of this System 45 to fill in the cracks in the holes, at which time we realized we had created probably about a 600-pound monument. So once again, we got the help from Bobby Kennedy at the DPW, who came in with a forklift, picked it up, put it on a truck, brought it over here. The forklift was able to get right in here and get it in close. And I think much to even our amazement, it popped right into the slot. We secured it in place, put this custom trash bag over it, and we're now ready to unveil it. So Randy and I...
two of you do it.
Ready to go?
Ready.
So Randy's going to tell you some about what we did to get it to look like this.
First time I heard about this, Rob called me on the phone and he said, you know, we got this Ware monument to fix. He said, you got any ideas about it? And I said, well, you know, Red Green, that famous Canadian home handyman, says if it's moving and it's not supposed to move, you use duct tape, and if it's not moving and it's supposed to move, you use WD-45. Rod said, well, you know, this thing has moved and it's not supposed to, but I don't think duct tape is going to be in keeping with the cemetery. But he said, I did talk to the head conservator at the Mount Auburn Cemetery, and he recommended a company in Connecticut called the Edison Coating Company. He said, I talked with them, they're interested, they offer a free class. So in between snowstorms last winter, we went down to their headquarters in Connecticut where they actually make this material and run classes, and we played around with it for a little bit, and it's pretty amazing stuff actually. It's kind of at the nexus between what the Romans did when they invented concrete and cement a couple thousand years ago and modern materials. So what it is a two-part mixture. You start with a powder that comes in 5-gallon pails like this, and you mix it with an acrylic latex water solution rather than typical water, and that provides some very unique properties.
There's a jug of latex in it.
Oh my God, we've got everything here today. So there's a couple of reasons you do that. Number one is the color of this material is very important. You want it to match the stone. We took a sample down when we were there for the class, so if you always mix it up with this, you don't have variations coming from local water supplies and whatnot. But it also has acrylic latex, which is very weather durable. Your more expensive coatings and paints are acrylic latex based. And what it provides then is a very strong and highly adhesive mortar. You know, typical mortar, if you tried to do what we did here, probably wouldn't stick. But you see, we've got about 2 inches of this material on the back, and that provides all the mechanical strength with no reinforcement to this new monument. The other thing that it has is that when it dries, it shrinks very little, so you don't get gaps. And a third major property that it has is they've matched this material to fit the granite that we've got on the stones for the expansion. As this heats up when the sun hits it in the morning, it expands at the same rate as the stone, so things don't pop apart. So it is, while it just looks like cement to most people, and that's what it looks like to me, it's pretty special stuff. This company has over 3,000 products. It's just this product. Just different colors, different stone mixtures. If you watch the evening news from Washington, D.C. recently, you'll notice the Capitol is all enclosed now in scaffolding. This company is supplying the mortar that they're using to repoint the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So they've got quite a lot of expertise in restoring old buildings and old stone monuments. When we shared pictures of what this looked like, I guess the comment that Mike Edison had was that this is one of the more extensive stone restorations that they've ever seen done. So we'll probably they'll probably have some interest in coming back in a few years to see if it's still standing. But based on their history, it should be a very durable repair.
In summary, this is one of the probably the largest and best example of the kind of preservation work that the Trust has done here in the cemetery. To date, we have funded over $29,000 of conservation and preservation in this cemetery. Those are hard dollars. And then with the labor of all the people on the back of this, probably gets to $30,000. And the labor is cheap, but it's always there. So we come here every 2 weeks. We'll finish up our season at the end of October. A number of folks are here today who are erstwhile volunteers. And so Preservation is what we do here, and this is just a very profound example of it. And there, we take stock in this because there's no other memorial here that requires this kind of work. And so that's both good and bad. But it took a lot of labor, a lot of time, a lot of money, but it's done. So, thank you folks for coming. We appreciate it very much. The attention that you want to give the Ware family. Should you ever choose to walk the cemetery again, do cast an eye over here. And remember that you were here at its unveiling. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure that was